You are listening to the Pleasant Spirit Podcast with your host, licensed massage therapist, Kyle Pleasant. Here, we will be discussing topics on health and wellness, as well as self-improvement, and his experiences as a legally blind massage therapist. And now, here's your host, Kyle.
And hello, and welcome to Pleasant Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Pleasant, licensed massage therapist. Well, today I wanted to discuss a topic about dealing with depression and anxiety. I was watching a YouTube video today about from a girl that I follow on YouTube, and she has a channel that she normally talks about like business stuff, but today I think she wanted to do something a little bit more personal and talk about her struggle with depression and anxiety. And I'll leave a link in the show notes so that you can watch it. But it's a interesting video about how she does deal with stress and anxiety, and puts a little bit of scientific research about mentality and I don't know how to say that, neuroplasticity. I think I'm saying that right. And a couple other scientific studies that were very interesting. I know a lot of people out there are dealing with a lot of stress and depression, anxiety, especially in this day and age. I know for myself, I deal with some anxiety, quite a bit, especially in the middle of the night. It definitely affects my sleep patterns and stuff. Even now, I'm recording this podcast in the middle of the night because it's on my mind, and it's usually when all my I stay up and think about stuff. So anyway, I know a lot of people deal with the stress and the depression and anxiety. And the thing about those things is that she goes on to explain that the common sentiment is that people often get depressed when they think about the past, and then people get anxiety whenever they think about the future. So whenever we're worried about the future, our minds and our thoughts kind of get nervous about what's going to happen and how we're going to deal with certain things. But she also goes into to say that if we are more mindful and we're concentrating on our present situation, that it has the tendency to negate depression and anxiety. Because if we're in the present moment, we're being mindful in our present moment, then we can control how we're perceiving that particular moment at that time. If you're sitting down and you're eating a meal and you're savoring that meal, then you're thinking about the flavors and the smell and the textures, and you're not worried about the future, and you're not worried about the past. So your present moment has a tendency to allow you that peace and allows you to be present in that particular moment. When I sometimes talk about the law of attraction, our thoughts create our reality. And the law of attraction, is that, you put whatever you put your thoughts on is what continues to show up in your life. And that's not only true on a metaphysical, spiritual level, but it's also true on a physiological level as well. That the thoughts that we think, help shape the neurons in our brain. And the more you continue to think a particular thought, like I'm hungry, or I'm stressed, or I'm poor, or I need to work out, or I'm unhappy about certain situations, the more you think those thoughts, the neurons have a little sheath around that neuron, and the more you think that, the thicker that neuron becomes, and the stronger it becomes in the brain. And the brain tends to be conductive, and so the more insulated a particular neuron is, the stronger that conduction is in the brain, and it shows up and is more hardwired into your brain to continue to think that thought, which is what creates our habits. So if we're in the habit of thinking about our past and worrying about our past, or we can constantly are thinking about our future, then that is we create more anxiety and we create more depression. Versus if we're more mindful, then and we're more present in our moments, it is the present. It's a present because we're in the present. So if you're paying attention to what you're doing at that moment in time, then that becomes more of your habit. And that is also true for meditation. And the difference between being mindful and meditation is that I've been told that meditation is more you go inward, and that's where you kind of clear your mind and you're focusing maybe on one thing internally, like visualization on something, or you're concentrating on your breathing. And I'll certainly do a guided meditation on one of these podcasts so that we have something to go on. But meditation is internal, and we're focused on just clearing our minds or our breath on that one thing and not on anything else. And so that's internal. And being mindful is external. So we're paying attention to what is happening on the outside. So maybe you could be washing dishes and you're feeling the heat of the water and the texture of the plate and the soap, the smell of the soap, and you're present in that particular moment. I gave the example of eating dinner. If you're sitting down to dinner, you're feeling the texture of the food in your mouth, or smelling the aroma of the food itself, or just feeling the taste. How does it taste in your in your mouth? Is it salty? Is it sweet? Or whatever? And as I say, those are all neutral. You can focus on that, and rather than being depressed or anxious about certain things. So those are some things to consider. And being mindful also helps with stress. I know I talked about stress with on another podcast, but just being in meditative state or being mindful is another way of combating stress. And we all know what stress does to the body. So anyway, I hope that something I said resonates with somebody out there, and it's kind of like, some kind of food for thought is just being mindful. For me, just the girl in the video gives the example of going out for a walk, and whenever you're going out for a walk, you're being, mindful of the steps that you're taking, and feeling the breeze in your hair, or smelling the trees. I did the Appalachian Trail a long time ago, and it was definitely helpful for being grounded and just being able to be out in nature on a regular daily basis, and just kind of sensing the nature around me, the animals and the breeze and the flowers in the fields, and looking out at the mountains and just smelling that air. But it also gave me the opportunity to kind of just be grounded, and just being able to walk those 1,000 miles that I did. Anyway, so I hope that does something for somebody out there, and just again, food for thought. And as always, thank you for listening, and I again, like, subscribe, share, and leave a review. And if you have any questions or some suggestions for me out there, podcast at pleasantspirit.com. Until next time, be well and have a pleasant day.
Thank you for listening to the Pleasant Spirit Podcast. We hope you found today's show informative. Please take a moment to write a review. And if you want to reach out or have show ideas, you can email at podcast@pleasantspirit.com. You can also visit his website at pleasantspirit.com. If you are in the Portland, Oregon area, you can schedule a massage or one of his coaching services at pleasanttouchmassage.com. See you next time, and always be well.